This is Quarantine Chronicles, episode 19. It is February 7th, 2021. To my virtual left, Jason.
Hello.
To my virtual right, Angel.
What's up?
And I'm Kevin, and I've got a fucking problem. Okay.
Coming in hot.
Last RN, post-RN, we were talking about chairs. And I can't for the life of me find a good office chair. Like just one that fits my needs. Now, I know there are tons of chairs on Amazon, but literally not a single one that I would actually buy because every chingle.
You're so angry you can't even get the words out right.
Every single chair that I find is literally what they call an ergonomic chair. And I don't want that at all. What I basically want
You don't want your left arm to go numb from like your back being pushed forward?
That's just never happened to me. What I basically want is a chair literally in the shape of an L with legs. Like, you know how you would make a crude chair, like drawing, like a side profile? That's what I want. And I just can't for the life of me find one like that. And I know that ergonomics is like the thing right now, but I absolutely hate that chairs do that thing where they go up from the base where you sit on? What would you call it? The base, the seat, the cushion, whatever?
The butt location. The butt location is clear what it's called.
The butt location.
The butt of the chair.
Yeah. The butt, I like the butt location better.
Okay.
Or the seat?
Oh yeah, the seat. There we go.
Wow.
How the seats...
Wow.
How it just starts curving. It curves into your back, first of all. That's how it always starts. It curves into your back. And then it violently just goes 90 degrees towards the other side. And then when I sit, I have a bunch of space, a bunch of air between the back seats of the chair and my back. What is the point of that? Why can't I just have cushion supporting my back instead of all this air? What do you guys sit on?
I guess right now, I don't really have like a proper chair for my setup in the room, but it's just like a normal L chair. It only really goes up to like the lower half of my back, and it gets the job done. But yeah, like I want to have something that goes up all the way, like my office chair, like my spinny chair, that I have in the garage. That one does go all the way up. This was like pre-COVID when I bought it, so I actually had the chance to like sit in various chairs and be like, oh, this one actually like goes all the way up and isn't like a pain to sit in. Because I hate, like you just married, like I really do hate like when, you sit on a chair and I just want like support like up to my shoulders and neck, because I just feel like I'm always like leaning. I want to be able to lean back comfortably without leaning too far back, because then it's like, but I was able to find that. Now the idea of like sitting in a bunch of chairs seems kind of weird in the store, but
it was super weird couch shopping. Having to sit on couches in a store back in November, like right before LA re-locked down, that was really weird. Because like you don't know, and this applies to the chair thing too. You don't know what you like. You just know what you don't like. So like we were just going couch to couch, like nope. And then I'm like, wait, is this one eventually going to be nice? Like, I don't know. I'm used to the couch that's in the room I'm currently in for like 20 years. This couch has existed. And then it's like, I'd buy a new one for this other place. So I'm like, I don't know. And I imagine the chair thing's like the same thing. Like, you know what feels right from your past experience, but you don't know what feels right going forward, if that makes any sense. Like, even with car seats, like, anytime I go take my car in for maintenance or whatever and they move the seat, I'm always like, wait, how was it before? Because it was fine. I was fine with it. But then I start overthinking how it should be. And I'm like, wait, should my back be this angle? No, it shouldn't. Wait, was it this angle? Did my knee touch this thing by the key, like the ignition? I don't think it did. Did it, though? Maybe. And it just makes it very difficult. My life is a horror show.
Because I haven't really sat on it too many. I know my brother has one, but the one time I sat on it just out of curiosity, like there's like this little cushion towards the top. And while it does like allow my head to lean back and hit something without leaning too far back, like pretty much from like the seat to my neck, it's like I'm not leaning on anything, and I really don't like that.
Well, here's
the
thing though. If
the gamer chairs give you that little illusion that they're just L shaped. No, they are like they're slightly off center, so that you have a bunch of space in between the back and your back.
They also wrap in on the sides, like they're trying to trap you there, which is something. Like they're kind of like enclosed a little. But
honestly, some of the best chairs I feel I've ever sat on are like some of the most simple looking ones. It's like a simple looking office chair that's not very tall, but the seat and the back are pretty much like a mesh of some sort. And they're just positioned like high enough and are just long enough that it feels like it just kind of covers everything without, being like needlessly expensive or overly like elaborate. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
you mean like one that perhaps goes up about 2/3 of your back and stops just below the shoulders or at the shoulders and is somewhat see-through? Because that's what I'm sitting on right now.
Yeah, something like that.
Like a Herman Miller chair.
Yeah, because when the support is high enough, sometimes it doesn't bother me that I didn't lean my head back on, just because it keeps my body up straight. That I don't feel like I'm getting tired from leaning too forward or too back. Obviously, something that would go all the way to the top would be ideal, but
that's what's interesting if you think about it.
Middle ground.
The chairs. So the chair you're describing, the one I'm sort of sitting on, stops at my shoulders. Everything you guys seem to be talking about are the chairs that, like, there's a gap from where this sort of chair stops and then a headrest on top.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what you're asking for basically is a neck support, which I don't. Does that exist?
No. I am asking for a chair that, the chair that I'm currently on.
Yeah.
If I sit up straight at a 90-degree angle, I feel the little part where, I guess, your lumbar. Mm-hmm. I feel that. But then nothing between, like what's it called? The crack of my back? The small of my back? The small of my back starts up to my head. I have no chair. That's it. It's just nothing but air. I need something to fill that in.
I guess you gotta get those pillows.
Yeah, I don't.
That might be too much.
At this point, that's literally my only option. Like putting a pillow so that I can actually sit like at a 90-degree angle. It's so infuriating. I don't understand why they don't make these chairs. It's not even like I don't need Herman Miller to make me that chair, because Herman Miller is considered the gold standard of office chairs.
It's very comfortable.
Right?
I'm on one right now. It's very comfortable.
And they will last you for like a decade.
Yeah, this one's literally 10 years old this year.
But
wow, it's got tenure. You can't throw it out.
I know.
But where was I going with this? But so of course Herman Miller isn't going to make, a chair that is just literally an L the way that I want it to be. But like not even like cheap manufacturers on Amazon make a chair that's just literally just an L. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to build this thing.
Could it be because
there's a market? You could literally call it like the Kevin, like move over Herman Melville. There's now the Kevin Gomez.
Just call it Herman Melville. I like that name. Miller. It's Miller.
Herman Miller.
Herman Melville is maybe the company that will make you your L-shaped chair. Some little company.
I feel like that name has to be something. I don't know why it was in my head.
I don't know. But, Kevin, have you considered that perhaps no one makes this chair because actually a straight 90 degree is really bad for your back?
He's an American novelist. I really doubt I knew this one.
I have considered this fact.
Okay.
Oh, he wrote Moby Dick. No wonder.
And he makes chairs that are L-shaped for Kevin.
I mean, no wonder I knew that name. But yeah.
I have considered that fact. Mm-hmm. But it's not like I'm any more comfortable with these fucking chairs that I'm on right now.
But will you be less comfortable with a hard L, is what I'm saying.
I don't think so. Because the way that I have it, like, I have a chair supporting me so that I'm, like, at 90 degrees anyways.
I don't think...
Let's get a beanbag chair.
Oh, there we go. Just have no back support. Just sink into it like it's like a sand pit.
I'm just gonna get a big exercise ball that I sit on. Isn't that what Victor does? Victor doesn't have a chair,
he does. He does have an exercise ball. Well, he has a standing desk, so I guess just eliminate the chair altogether.
Well, the thing about a standing desk is it also can be a sitting desk more often. Well, actually, I don't know if his transforms. I take that back.
But yeah, I think his is electrical. I know our other friend Eric does have an electrical standing desk that could move up and down.
At my office, which I haven't been to in 11 months, RIP physical offices. I have a standing desk that moves up and down. It's pretty slick, not gonna lie. I stand up once a month. It's pretty great.
I know there's benefits to them, but honestly, like every time I've tried them, like I'll be okay for like the first minute, and I immediately just feel like I just want to sit down now. Like I don't.
You got to power through. It's like exercise. As someone that's now been doing 5 straight days of Ring Fit and exercising, let me tell you, you got to power through it. It takes
Well, as someone that has been doing multiple days of Ring Fit every day and Peloton, I still can't do it. I don't know.
As someone who stopped at Ring Fit, I think you can.
Yeah, maybe one day. I think it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something I would want to do, but I don't know, what are the benefits to it? I mean,
Standing?
stand
Blood
up
flow, circulation.
because I mean I stand up plenty usually. Well, I guess it was never a problem when I was at the elementary school because like you're pretty much standing up teaching, you're walking around checking on the students. Like when you're sitting down, it's actually kind of rare. And even at the studio when I first started, there was still a lot of walking around. It was kind of neat, but I guess I still check on, yeah. But we'll see. Maybe I'll try it one day when they're not too expensive. I know they're like $300 or something or more. But actually, no, that's probably the low end.
That's the very low end.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
could definitely get a standing desk for like $300, but the motor is probably going to be jank.
I mean, the desk I have now, it's like one of those like stereotypical like gamer desk. I really like it. But like the whole top has like a mouse pad on it, and I could manually make it a standing desk. But yeah, I'm not going to do that because that's going to be like a 2-man thing. But yeah,
Right.
Theoretically, in this day and age, isn't every flat surface a mouse pad?
it has that felt feeling.
Okay, so it's like.
I mean, it's a literal mouse pad. It's a literal giant mouse
But
pad.
I mean, like, do mice need mouse pads anymore?
Yes, absolutely. Especially if you're
Yeah,
playing
you don't want
video games.
I don't know as a
You
Nintendo
just
Yeah,
don't
gamer.
I mean-
on like on a surface.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
on top of just like not wanting to damage certain things, like a lot of like hard surface, I don't want to damage the desk. I want to be able, like, it's just nice knowing that anything I put down, like, it's not going to get scratched or anything in any way.
Gotcha.
It also just has a nice feel to it, just being nice and soft.
I don't think I've ever felt as much like an
I
adult.
literally have a mouse pad on top of this table as well. It's like a giant
Oh,
Godzilla one
that's-
that my brother gave me for Christmas.
I was about to say
But,
that's excessive, but Godzilla makes it cool, so it's okay.
Yeah, it gives it some flair instead of just the giant red A that's there, which could be for Angel, but I think it's for Arizona or something. But
I don't think we've ever had a conversation or recorded a conversation on the podcast that made me feel so much like just a boring adult as chairs, desks, and blood circulation. So congrats, guys.
We're professionals, so we need all these things. We need good chairs, we need a good table, and we need
Good blood.
what else were we talking about? Blood flow. There we go.
Because you gotta be able to be alive and
honestly,
energized
like-
for when we talk sales numbers.
this is something a lot of people don't consider. Like, I mean, if you want to be like, get into streaming, animating, or a lot of these things that just require you to be on a screen for long periods of time, it's not just about getting the RTX 3090 or like the highest spec screen or anything. Like, you have to also consider that you're going to be, looking at these things and sitting down or standing up for many, 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 many hours. So if anything, the earlier you start thinking about these things, the better, because then you could invest on something that would last you a long time that you won't regret.
I mean, really, you shouldn't even do a college fund for your kids. You should get a chair fund set up to make sure that they have the proper lumbar support as they make their way through Zoom school on their iPads and Chromebooks. I agree.
I wonder what the most expensive chair I could find is that isn't expensive because of the luxury aspect to it, but more because like, oh, this like has all necessary features and it just happens to cost us.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like, for chairs, I think luxury
Like,
is all the features. Like, there's not like a...
Well, because, I'm sure you could easily find a really, like, a pretty bad chair that is just, like, has a bunch of diamond studs on it.
Yeah, maybe. You might be right.
I'm literally just going to type chair on Amazon and sort by price high to low and just see what I get.
I'm just gonna end up buying a replica throne from Game of Thrones to sit on. 'Cause
What
thing
the
looks
heck
like
is this thing?
That thing just looks like an L.
It is. I sat on it at Comic-Con a few years ago. It's a pretty solid L.
Perfect.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Solve my problems.
So the most expensive chair in Amazon is $39,829.72.
What exactly is it?
It looks like a battle station. It's
I wouldn't
kind of
count that.
crazy. Oh, it's under the category.
Well,
I mean, there's a
have
picture.
you-
It's literally like it's like the gamer chair that we were complaining about earlier, except it also has like. I guess you're supposed to be laying down on it. It has like complete.
Oh my God, this
arm
thing's
support.
insane.
It has a built. I mean, yeah, it looks like you could play like some simulators in
For
it.
the viewers at home, those arcade units, the listeners at home, they can't view it. They can only listen. Those arcade units at like, arcades and nines or maybe now Dave and Buster's where like the screen is attached to the chair you're in, so the whole thing rocks with you, like the fake, like, oh, I'm on a roller coaster, and you're like sitting in a chair and it moves around and the screen moves with you because it's attached to the top. It's that, but it's for your home and it looks about twice as bulky. That's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing just looks impractical.
Yeah. I don't even know where you
The
would put
next
that.
most expensive, the next most expensive chair that doesn't have that is just an office chair for 15 grand, but it looks like it's leather bath chair. Oh, it's a massager as well. Oh.
That would be
okay,
luxury.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you guys not?
There's a-
How do you guys feel about massage chairs? I always feel like I remember when Sharper Image or Brookstone was around. I'd like pop in as a kid or whatever and be like, "Oh, a massage chair," and I'd sound and be like, "This is it." Like I never got it. Like the appeal. Am I crazy? It just seems like it's hitting
No,
you.
I never use. I've never used them either.
Yeah, me neither. But I don't know if they would get the job done as well as a regular massage.
If there's anyone out there,
I think they're just a fun novelty for kids to like.
but it's not for
have fun and do them
kids. That's
all.
the thing. Like, I mean, actually, maybe it is for kids because Brookstone and Sharper Image are now both out of business, so maybe no one bought the chairs and kids just sound them in the store. But if anyone out there uses a massage chair, please enlighten us on why. Tweet us at Random Nintendo and tell us why you like massage chairs because I don't get it honestly. Like, I get massages, I get the concept. But the chair just feels like it's like
I get chairs.
I get chairs.
But both of them together.
It loses me somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
And the last chair I bothered to check out is one that doesn't have any kind of crazy like massaging or anything feature. It's still 10 grand, and it kind of looks like what I described as it just being like a mesh chair.
Yeah.
Like there's image to the back, and it has like something for the top, the back, and the bottom, and I guess it comes with a footrest. Why is
But
it 10
look,
grand?
it curves at like a 40-degree angle. I hate that.
Not just
so
Yeah.
not just that, but its number one bullet point, its selling point isn't any feature of the chair. It's your satisfaction is the driving force for our progress. What does that mean in terms of how this chair functions
Okay,
as a
I'm
chair?
done with this. I'm done. I'm over it.
It makes no sense.
Chair manufacturers need to get a grip. All right.
Lumbar support, everyone.
It's time for the
Lumbar
bi-weekly
support.
SoCal COVID update.
You know, I was going to do a harmonized jingle that I was going to pre-record, and I didn't have my microphone. So pretend there's three of me at three different pitches as I go, COVID. Okay? Just pretend that was three of them.
Oh god.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's ruined my ears. So, since the last episode, SoCal is no longer in full lockdown. I don't think is it just the entire state of California
So
as well?
California lifted the stay-at-home order that they had in place since sometime in December or November. It's
believe it was
at a
December,
state
yeah.
level, but individual counties and states can still be stricter if they want. But due to political
happen.
pressure, even the cities like LA loosened up because basically states like, yeah, we're fine. And then LA was like, I guess we are too. And like 2 days later did their thing. But what's annoying to me is I understand there's economic forces and whatnot at play, but LA and California shut down using a very specific model. I think it was LA in particular of you have to have X number of cases, X number of ICU beds available, and you know, X number of, I don't think deaths was factored in. So cases and beds available. They said when they shut down, all right, 4,500 cases average per day, we need to shut down. ICU beds dipping below, I think, 15%, we need to shut down. They're now saying, well, we're at like 8,000 cases per day, but it's trending downward. And if our projections hold in a month, the ICU beds will be available at the threshold they need to be. So we're going to go ahead and open back up now, which just like doesn't make sense. I mean,
Doesn't make any
it's
sense.
it's definitely some sort of political forces on it, but like, that's my takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we no longer have the stay-at-home order, basically that means restaurants, salons, gyms, and those sort of places are now allowed to be open to the public. Granted, everything or mostly everything has to stay outdoors, but places are still allowed to be open. That being said, it looks like that stronger UK strain has made it to the US and is going to hit Southern California pretty hard.
It's already here.
According to
There's also
according
a
to some
harder one
metrics.
from South Africa. That's here too.
Oh, great.
I don't know if it's here in LA, but
Awesome.
it's here in the US.
Can't wait.
Fun times.
Yeah, just be careful out there, folks. CVS's are going to start distributing vaccines next week, apparently. That's cool. There's a
select
buttload
stores.
of more CVS's than Disneyland's.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything, Jason?
I think those are the biggies. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is
For-
in a 3-week
Is it still tier
evaluation.
1?
What?
Is it still tier 1 for those CVS's?
So
or is it just
it's
like
65 and older for now, or healthcare worker, and I believe they're going to drop it down to 60 or 55 sometime in the next few weeks, and then sort of roll it from there.
That's so cool. I mean, more distribution centers is always great. So
I mean, there is something to be said, though. Like, if you're stuck in a pandemic that has completely shut down the world for a year, like, I feel like you need the grand finale to be a trip to a fun location like Dodger Stadium that's been converted into an ocean of cones, where you have to weave through these cones and go to these tents and have this weird dystopian, like, they're going to vaccinate you in your car. Like, it feels like it, obviously, any way to get a vaccine is good, but it just feels like you should be rewarded for this past year by having to live out, like, a weird Hunger Games scenario in this weird, like, I'm at a baseball stadium, but I'm getting vaccinated in mass at this tent. And, like, I don't know, it just feels like you gotta see it through all the way. So, yeah, it'll be available at normal places. But, like, there's some weird, like, outing feeling of, like, oh, go to Dodger Stadium, or go to the Forum. Go places where you shouldn't get a shot, but you can get a shot if you have the time and the patience. Honestly, get it wherever you can, but it just feels like the payoff of all this should be Bizarro Land vaccination, you know what I mean?
Right.
so you know, make an event of it. It's like going to Disneyland, except, I mean, literally, it's like going to Disneyland. It's at Disneyland, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get into it. Angel, we had a category last week that we had to skip over because of time restraints.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody was going to guess your show. I think somebody put it out there like, oh, try to guess what Angel's talking about. I don't think anybody's going to get this, so talk to us about your show.
Yeah, so the show I'm talking about is Sonic Boom, and I love the show. Say what you will about the game, and honestly, I really recommend looking into the making of the game. There's a great video, I think it's a series of videos called, like, What Happened? I think it's, like, literally WHU Happened without the D. And they did a bunch of research. They looked into the development of the game, and it's crazy how, I think it's Red Button. I forgot the name of the people that developed it.
Red Button Entertainment.
But essentially, like, you know, Sega Japan wanted to make a westernized Sonic game, and this team, like, had an idea and a big scope for it. And it wasn't even going to be on a Nintendo console. It was, like, meant for, like, PC and Switch, and it was running on, I forget what it was. I think it was like Unreal or something like that. Actually, no, I don't think it was Unreal. It was, I forgot what it was, but it was like a different engine. Everything was looking great. But then Sega started, like, forcing a bunch of changes on them, like something like literally last minute. Like, first it was like, all right, well, we can't have you do this, we can't have you do that. They had to, like, scrap a bunch of things. Story had to be changed. But probably, like, the biggest blow was that already, like, I want to say, like, close to, like, midway to development, they're like, all right, this is going to be a Wii U exclusive. And the engine that we're making it on isn't compatible with the Wii U whatsoever. So a lot of things had to be, like, trimmed down. You know, like, they pretty much had to, like, cut. And some things obviously weren't working because things that were running well in the other engine either didn't work well at all, or they had to somehow, like, tweak it to change it. And, you know, we kind of got what we got, and it just really sucks. Because, like, it sounds like even if it wouldn't have been, you know, like, even if it would have ended up being like a Star Fox Adventures kind of situation where people are like, oh, this isn't like a real Sonic game, it probably could have still been a fun game in its own right. But yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of what happened with the game.
Constantly Sega's downfall, I swear. Like, you know, watching those video game documentaries last fall, because I don't know much about Sega's history like I do Nintendo's, but watching the ones on Netflix and CBS All Access, like, one of the things they kept emphasizing was Sega was very hands-off with the initial Sega of America stuff, like the Genesis, and then they started to be like, actually, you should probably do this, and started to, like, from afar, sort of meddle in what was working, and then they slowly kind of broke it. Like, that's how Sega ended up, like, dying in the console industry. It was just like the Japanese office was like, no, we need to regain control here. We want this. After initially being like, you do your thing. In Sonic Boom's case, it sounds like it happened all within the same dev cycle versus, you know, across multiple releases or generations, but still, like, why do they keep doing that? You'd think they'd learn. And
it's my understanding that while this was supposed to be its own, like, ongoing, like, Sonic franchise, like, there was supposed to be a Japanese developed Sonic games that would go on as normal by the Sonic team, and then there were supposed to be these that would go on, like, pretty much 2 game series of Sonic. So you had, like, 2 flavors of it. So, you know, it was, like, more reason for them to be, like, more hands-off.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened with Sonic Mania. Like, it took another developer completely to make a Sonic game that people really, really liked. Yeah, I mean, but that's beside the point. I mean, essentially, it made, you know, it's really unfortunate what happened with the game.
Is that why they gave him a scarf? So that you could be like, oh, it's Sonic Boom Sonic versus other Sonics. So they could have the, like, parallel franchises.
Apparently the Sonic Boom... The funny thing is that the Sonic Boom part of it, I guess that's something else that's interesting that I should bring up, is that later into the development, this part, I guess, was less intrusive than other reworks they had to do. But they had also partnered with like, oh, we want this. I think it was I forget if it was Canadian or European country, animation studio to work on this westernized Sonic show. And they were like, hey, studio working on the Western Sonic game, just make your game Sonic Boom. Because I think it was originally supposed to be like a Sonic origin story. Because, you know, they're revamping a Western Sonic. But all of a sudden they're like, okay, I guess we're Sonic Boom now. And we have to incorporate all these other things from that show. But yeah, which, you know, leads us to the show. Which at first, you know, like, because of the notoriety of the game, it was kind of like, oh man, the show is probably going to be terrible as well. But it isn't. It's a really good show. I think it's a show that if you were a big fan of Sonic, or ever were a fan of Sonic, or even just are well aware of the history of Sonic, I think you will find a lot to love about it. It's a CG show and it has a small budget, but I think it works in its favor like tremendously. And you could really tell that the writers are just having like the time of their lives with the show. Like they're just writing whatever they want. I don't even know how much of it is getting like cleared by the higher refs. I mean, it's still like a kid show, but it's a kid show that knows its main audience is probably like in their late 20s or early 30s. But yeah, because the show, like, first and foremost, is extremely meta. Like, it almost barely has anything to do with the actual Sonic Boom game that it's named from. If anything, like, you know, they have your core cast of characters. You have your Knuckles, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Eggman. And I guess the two mainstay robots that came out in Sonic Colors, I believe, and just kind of stayed with Eggman, Cubot, and Orbot. They're like the comic relief, but everyone in the show is kind of comic relief. But yeah, for the most part, the personalities stay the same as you remember them. Sonic is cocky, Tails is, you know, the smart guy. Amy, they definitely toned down her obsession with Sonic. It's still kind of there, but not really. She's definitely more her own thing. There is a new character named Styx the Badger, who's just kind of like a paranoid conspiracy theorist obsessive, but she's not as annoying as you thought she would be. I don't know. She could be a fun character sometimes. Knuckles, though, kind of had the biggest change. He was already known for being, I guess, gullible. That's kind of like, I feel like was his only personality trait. Besides just being strong, it was like, oh, he's gullible. He's always tricked by Eggman. And this one, they made really dumb. Like, literally. Like,
knucklehead, if you will.
They, yeah, basically, they took that to heart. I honestly think he's probably
they also made him huge.
Oh yeah, he's super.
Oh yeah,
he was. I think wasn't he like the most radical redesign?
Yeah. I mean, everyone got a lot taller, but yeah, Knuckles. Yeah, Knuckles got like much buffer and much taller, and they also acknowledge that in the show like plenty of times. They acknowledge like the fact people don't like the designs or their other past things, or even just like gaming culture and rebranding and that kind of stuff. But I think in this show, Knuckles may be probably one of the dumbest animated cartoon characters I've ever seen.
How's he compare as someone who's catching up with The Good Place finally? On a scale of like,
probably
is he like Jason?
Dumb as Patrick, if not worse.
Oh, I was gonna say, is he like Jason he's on Good Place?
Probably dumber.
What? Okay.
Like, like the kind of like dumb where like a joke may be that he forgot to breathe. Like on that level.
Yeah, that's more Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah, like Patrick, you know, he has some. I mean, he has some moments, and I mean, even towards the end, because of how they play him, like he has like this very he makes a statement about like feminism and gender role and gender norms towards the end that just like catches everyone off guard, and they're just like, wait, what? Like Knuckles? But yeah, it's just one of those things you have to see. But I would say like think of the show as kind of like Teen Titans Go, just with like a lot more restraint. And because of the fact that you have, you know, the writers just kind of going nuts with it. And also because of limited budget, they only have like, I'm pretty sure there's only like 8 to 9 different character models that they're working with. And there's maybe like, I don't know, like 6 different environments they're ever at. And they even point that stuff out. But, you know, like they literally have to pull these plots like out of nowhere. There's like no ongoing story. There's no continuity. You could literally watch one independent of another. There's literally an episode where Sonic and the gang, they're just trying to build some furniture that was bought from like a store that's clearly supposed to be IKEA, and they're just kind of struggling with it. And,
so they made a sitcom.
Having a bad time of it.
A traditional multicam sitcom without a laugh track.
Yeah, it's literally a sitcom. Like there's even an episode where like everyone's on this new like, you know, this new social network that everyone's super jazzed about. Eggman gets rejected by Sonic. Sonic rejects Eggman's friend request. Eggman gets mad, builds his own better. So he builds his own better social network just so that Sonic can try to friend them and just so he could reject them. And that's literally the whole plot of it. But, I mean, it's 52 episodes in total. There's two 52 episode seasons, but each episode is 11 minutes long. So, I mean, I guess you could pair them up and that would give you like a full 22 minutes. So, yeah, not too long. And the Sonic Eggman relationship, I don't know. I just find it hilarious. I mean, the entire original voice cast returns, at least from the past couple games. And I just love hearing, I guess, those characters get pushed to the limit in their voice acting. Because I feel like you hear Sonic yell and say and get angry in these certain ways that I feel I would never hear him say in a game, or just say certain things that are just, I don't know, overacted and just hilarious. And the same goes like for Eggman, or even just some of the character dynamics that are just a lot looser. Like you have multiple times where Eggman is just kind of crashing at Sonic's place because his lair got destroyed. Or Eggman sending Sonic like an angry voice message because he didn't show up to a battle and he was just like really mad and he said he wasn't going to talk to him or something. Like, I don't know, it's very loose and yeah, I don't know, it's just a really fun show. It really caught me by surprise and I know it sounds like it's completely done. They had, at some point it sounded like they had plans for a third season, but I don't know, I think it's just it's a show any Sonic fan would enjoy, or kind of like I mentioned, if you are a big fan of just gaming icons and just know kind of what's up with Sonic, you'll definitely have more to enjoy from it. But yeah,
I'm sorry to say that
Sonic
I'm
Boom.
pretty sure that this show is going to be done.
Considering all the voice casts,
announced.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's been
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the Sonic Boom show, the last episode aired like years ago, so it's not like I'm like hoping that they would.
Good, because literally the entire voice cast of Sonic is being replaced, like all of them.
It is really weird.
I think so. Sonic's gone. Tails is gone.
Eggman?
I don't know
Not
about
Eggman
actually, but Sonic and Tails have both said they're stepping away. I think Sonic? Amy's voice is gone. Like the Sonic Adventure Sonic voice guy is now like, hey, I'm around, Sega, if you want to like bring me back. But yeah, I don't know what's going on, but they're doing like a major
That was always my favorite Sonic
upheaval.
Damn, it's gonna be weird not listening to Roger Craig Smith be Sonic.
Well, I mean, Ben Schwartz sort of showed you can do another voice and it works, like in the movie. Like I thought that was
fine.
Fine.
His voice was different. Also. Yeah, no, yeah. Like I mean, there are other Sonic voices that sound fine. My biggest pet peeve is just when you get someone new to just do an imitation of the old.
So
voice
what
actor.
Looney Tunes always does.
And yeah, because I mean, they either have to be spot on. Like Eric Bauza does do an amazing job as like Bugs Bunny, Marvin the Martian, and I think he also does Porky Pig.
He does.
Where it's like, oh, like he has like the spirit of them. Like you can't think of like someone else better to take on the mantle of Mel Blanc. But then you have other instances. Like I think the most common one that I keep coming back to is Optimus Prime. Like whenever it's like a really big movie role, for the most part, it's always Peter Cullen. But for some like spin-off, for some shows like the Transformers show on Netflix, or there's a few other side movies where it's not, or other games where it's not Peter Cullen and it's just someone trying to do Peter Cullen, and it just sounds off. Like it just doesn't sound right. It straight up sounds like someone like is just doing like a fan voice imitation, and it's just not great. But there are other shows like, you know, Transformers Animated, or even the Optimus Prime and Beast Wars, where it's a completely different voice that's not trying to be Peter Cullen, and it works, and I like those a lot better. Like, I mean, Sonic, like, Ben Schwartz, I mean, Sonic, you kind of have an idea of what you think he would sound like.
Right.
I think Ben Schwartz was fine, but, yeah, and I mean, but I also really like the Roger Craig Smith one. But we'll see where it goes. Eggman, damn, that one's just really hard, because it's really hard to picture Eggman's voice animated, at least, without that iconic laugh that he has, or just the way he talks. I mean, obviously, Jim Carrey wasn't doing that voice. He was doing Jim Carrey, and that worked. But, I mean, it looked nothing like...
Yeah. He differentiated
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different. It was its own thing. So, we'll see. I mean, this is called Sonic Prime, so, I don't know. It sounds like an origin story. It also has, like, a shattered TED logo. So, is it going to be a more serious take? I mean, I'm sure people want another, like, Sonic Sat AM. I think that's what people prefer. It's like the Saturday morning cartoon. There was that one, and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic Underground. Don't forget Sonic Underground.
Sonic Underground, yeah.
He wore a necklace because he was cool, and he played a guitar. That's the one I watched as a kid, actually. I mock it, but...
All three Hedgehog siblings voiced by Jewel White. I forgot his name. Urkel. Even the female Hedgehog.
Oh, Jaleel White.
Yeah, there you go.
He voiced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew he was the voice. Sonic. Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, he was the voice for all those old Sonics.
Wow.
Yeah, then he did all three. But the very first one I mentioned, Sonic Sat AM, that one was like, an ongoing episodic show, kind of like how Sonic X was. Yeah, we haven't really had that in a while. And this one, it's obviously not that. So if you're looking for, a continuous plot and character development, there definitely isn't that. It's literally just played for laughs and at the expense at, or, everything, including the Sonic franchise. Yeah, fun stuff. I recommend it. I don't even know where you can watch it now, but
I do get your point though about like people trying too close to be the source material or like trying to emulate, because like I feel like that was the biggest downfall for Square Enix's Avengers game. Besides it being apparently pretty dull in gameplay, like they just tried so hard. Like look at these voice actors we got, and we're gonna make them look almost like the Avengers you know and love, and sound almost like it. So it just felt like a knockoff, even though it was licensed. Like it's so weird. Like it was so close, but just it's like Uncanny Valley almost. It's really bizarre. Like yeah. And now that game is pretty much down in the water, and rumor is they might be canceling the DLC. So that's what happens if you try to mimic too much.
Yeah, they definitely should have changed up the art style. I don't know if it was a good idea to go for a more realistic look and, still having the movie franchise be so popular.
And like
I think they could have done them better just to especially, I think that was probably the worst in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because they straight up tried to make the characters more cinematic looking or more in line with how they looked in the movies instead of how they did in the comic books. And I feel like that art style ended up suffering tremendously. They could have just stuck in with the cell shaded look, maybe just go further in that. And I mean, the technology there to make it look literally like a comic book. And
I think that's why Ultimate Alliance 3 worked so well.
Yeah,
because
no one complains about those.
They leaned on the comic book entirely. I mean, they left Wolverine in there. They left the old costumes. Like they didn't try. From my limited time with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, they did not try to go the movie route, because I guess Avengers is already doing that, the Square Enix game. So they were like, well, let's just lean in on the comic book, which is also what they did for Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. So they stayed true to that, and they went on to, do pretty decently. So, yeah.
And I don't know if it's because this is just what we've been exposed to for so many years, but I mean, like, the classic cartoon costumes, comic book costumes, never seem to translate super well in real life. Like especially if you do like a 1-to-1, you almost always get like a more muted version. Like I know like the original X-Men, like obviously they weren't all bright yellow and blue. They were literally just wearing black spandex, which I mean also like, look boring, but I mean, I want to say, I don't know, it probably would have looked a little sillier. I don't know, unless that's what you're going for. I don't know. It's weird, but in gaming,
in Freshman X class.
Yeah, they did bring in some yellow.
Yeah.
It wasn't as like full on like it was in the show, but I mean they definitely
it wasn't like neon yellow.
Pay more homage, yeah.
But I mean I do get it though, because like you can't, if you're doing like a real life quote unquote interpretation of,
I mean just look at WandaVision, or at least like the trailers, like they show Scarlet Witch and Vision in those like, I guess they're classic costumes, even though they're supposed to be I think Halloween costumes. It looks like. I haven't seen the show, so I'm just going. But they look like but they look super silly.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta like. I feel like Shazam's the one that most closely walked the line of being like by like the comic book in terms of the outfit, but they leaned in on it and made it kind of ridiculous. So if you're trying to do if you're trying to do like a serious superhero movie, you can't have someone look like they walked out of the Halloween store. It just doesn't work. It shatters the illusion.
That didn't stop Zack Snyder from making Superman's costume just radiant at the end of Justice League.
Oh, true.
Or I guess that was Joss Whedon. Whatever. I don't care. Do not at me about who was in charge of Superman's costume at the end of Justice League. Do not at me. I don't care.
Speaking of that, just brace yourself. March 18th, the Zack Snyder cut, which is like 4 hours long, comes out on HBO Max. So I feel like we're going to have to talk about that.
I can't wait. We're at
that's we're for
probably
sure
an entire episode dedicated to itself.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete mess, and I cannot wait.
God, and speaking of that one too, like,
or it could actually be really good. Who knows?
Yeah, it could exceed our expectations. Like my expectations are already super, super, super low for that. So I hopefully it exceeds them.
It's just like they keep throwing things in. Like
he tweeted
or go ahead, Angel.
That's the one with the monster that kept getting like put on top of like fake RTX boxes because it looks like something from that. I think it was
that was supposed to be
Dark Side, But
that was being put on like not Super Nintendo, like N64.
Here's what I'm most interested about with that is
made for grown-ups.
What?
made for grown-ups. That's what Zack Snyder tweeted at somebody like, "Oh, this is a thinking man's superhero movie." And then you just see that picture of Darkseid.
That picture like the next day. Yeah. Here's what I'm most excited about. This was a movie that was going to be a mini. Okay, so ignore the fact that they switched directors and Zack Snyder's family went through all that result, that caused it and everything. Just looking at what it is now, we have a movie that Zack Snyder has $20 million to play with. He's like, oh, I'm going to make it a mini-series. And then 2 months before it comes out, he goes, just kidding, it's going to be a 4-hour movie. And then after that, he's like, by the way, I'm adding new characters. Look, Joker from Suicide Squad's here now. Like, what? Like, he's just on a whim.
Wait, Jared Leto's in it?
Yes. And he has long hair now.
Maybe. It still hasn't been confirmed.
Oh, it's not confirmed? Well, I thought he was crediting Suicide Squad for creating the character.
He's teasing it.
Well, either way, basically, like, the thing was going to be a 6-part miniseries at one point, or a 4-part miniseries at one point. Now it's just a 4-hour movie. Oh, no, it was 6-part, which, like, I don't
believe anything that Zack Snyder says. The fact that he riled up so many people to say, like, yeah, there is a Snyder cut, and then they finally decide to release it, is like, hold up, give me like a year.
And $28 million.
I will give you a Snyder cut. Yeah. Yeah. So you never had a Snyder cut? Gotcha.
Yeah, and then, like, I'm just thinking, like, so this thing was announced, and like, oh, it's coming, like, summer 2021. Now you sound like, nope, it's actually ready in March now, and here's some other characters, and also it's no longer this, it's now that. I'm like, what? Are they just flying by the seat of their pants? Like, this was going to be such a mess.
We got to save this discussion for when the movie comes out.
I know. I cannot wait.
Yeah, only other thing I was going to say that I guess on the other extreme, like if you don't get more muted, I guess, plain costumes for the live action movies, you end up getting overly detailed ones. Cause like, the Flash one always comes to mind where it's just like so busy looking. But yeah, it is weird. It's such a weird balance, and props to the people that have to work on that. I mean, whatever the outcome is, like it can't be easy to just try to make all that work and even just like satisfy everyone. Cause you literally can't satisfy everyone.
Yeah. You just gotta go with mainstream appeal at that point, which means muted usually,
or just let the fans dance you and yeah.
So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog guy is a pretty cool character.
Yep.
Jason, Foo Fighters has a new album.
They do.
And you listen to it.
I did
for some reason.
I like Foo Fighters. That's the reason. But
no, true. I like Foo Fighters too. I just haven't heard.
I'm asking for a friend, but who are Foo Fighters?
Asking for a friend. At times like these. Do you know that song? Great. Okay.
Can you sing part of it? I guarantee you I won't know.
You don't know time.
Times like these?
Yeah, dude. That's like
times like these. I want to punch in the face.
Times like these. We learned to. You've never heard times like that's like one of their biggest songs. They just played it at SNL. They played it at Biden's inauguration. Like, you never heard that song?
He didn't see either of those things.
No, I'm saying for you. You don't know Times Like These by the Foo Fighters?
Oh, okay. I didn't know it by name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, Angel, you may know them as Dave Grohl and Friends, maybe.
You might know them as
He's the guy from Nirvana?
The best of you.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Thank you, Kevin, for giving me something
Times
I
Like
would
These
actually
is bigger
recognize.
than Best of You, but Best of You is better than Times Like These, in my opinion.
Absolutely. First of all, neither of those things are correct. The Best of You is huge. It's
that's
like,
what I just said. Best of You is bigger than Times Like These. Oh, did I say it backwards? I said it backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but you said the Best of You is. Oh wait, no. I don't know. Hey, talk to us about Foo Fighters.
Okay, so they came out with...
Is Dave Grohl the guy that's always being referred to as like the last true rock star or something?
And that's what I
he like injured himself.
They are... Foo Fighters have become like the like caretakers of rock and roll, apparently. I'm not sure when this happened or why. It was sometime after they did... I think Wasting Light in 2011 was like their tipping point, because then they started winning more Grammys, and then like they sort of leaned in on this idea. No, that's Red Hot Chili Peppers, but good hustle. But anyway, so they leaned into that originally, Foo Fighters. This will come back to the new album, I promise. And they started doing they did a project called Sonic Highways after they started became like the gatekeepers of rock and roll, or not gatekeepers, but the caretakers of rock and roll, where they went city to city around the country and filmed a docuseries as well, where they met with local musicians and made a track per city, combined them into an album, and that was Sonic Highways. Then they did another album called Korean Gold, which I was wondering, how do you top going around the country like that? You don't, but they still kind of kept this like weird, like, oh, well, we're taking care of rock and roll, so like we're going to do all these homages to different types of classic rock on this album, and we're going to get some collaborators. Like, we don't have cities to go to this time, but like Paul McCartney's hanging out with us. He's going to play drums on this track. Oh, Justin Timberlake's working next door on his album. We're going to have him come in and do backing vocals. Oh, this dude from Boys to Men is going to help us write 3 of the songs, which is a real thing that happened. Or, oh, the singer from like The Kills happens to be nearby. Let's have her do backing vocals. And so both those albums felt very much like they were trying to live up to, oh, we're in charge of rock and roll. We need to pay homage to classic rock. We need to pay homage to all these different cities and their styles. And that made for projects that felt very ambitious and grand, and to me didn't quite feel like just like Foo Fighters. Like, it felt like they're trying to be something more, which is fine because they did some cool stuff and they did some cool collaborations. You know, they have like a kind of bluesy track for Chicago on Sonic Highways, and they have like something a little more like
Wait, Chicago as in You're the Meaning of My Life?
No, as in the city of Chicago. Oh. Because they traveled around. And then like they went to New Orleans and got like, you know, the jazz bands that marches around, you know, parades through the street to like record with them, and like they did cool stuff, but it didn't really feel like Foo Fighters. Like, it felt so like they were doing so much more than just more Foo Fighters. So what's nice about this new album, which is called Medicine at Midnight and came out this past Thursday, is it's more focused sonically. Like, it feels more like it's just an album by the Foo Fighters. Like, they made it just with themselves and a producer who actually weirdly worked with Adele before. But anyway, producer they've worked with before, and they just like rented a house in the Valley here in LA and just like cranked out an album just then. They didn't like go, hey, Timberlake, you all like give us a melody or, you know, anything like that. They just like made a Foo Fire album. And it's still because their new thing is they're, you know, in charge of rock and roll, and they're like sort of the people that bring it to the masses now. So they still want to like pay homage to stuff, but they did it as one package. So instead of it being this song's kind of like Chicago, this song's kind of like New Orleans, or on Conquering Gold, which was their last album, they're like, this song's sort of like a Grateful Dead sounding thing, and this one's gonna be a little like whoever and whatever. This whole album, they called it their dance record. So it's a little more poppy. It's a little more, it has like some, you know, kind of like 4/4 drums going. It has a little more, it has some like disco groove elements to it. It has, interestingly, backup singers, like 3 or 4 women that do like kind of like na-na-nas and stuff in the background of some songs. And as a result, it's a little more ballady and poppy than, say, stuff like, you know, their early work. But because they just were like, we're just going to do a record that sounds like this, and then worked within that space, it feels like more of a cohesive package. And because they went kind of the poppier, groovier, dancier route, it also just, it feels a little tighter, it's a little shorter, but the songs have a little more like punchiness to them. Like, I don't know, it just feels, it doesn't feel as like, I don't want to say try hard, because the others weren't try hard. They're just exploring different ways to explore music. But like, this one just feels more like a complete package. And as a result, because they're working within only one sort of space, they're able to let some of their more Foo Fighter-y things slip in and not try as much to be other things, which means it also kind of just feels more like them. I don't know, like, it feels like they kind of went back to the basics, even though they're still doing kind of different take on the music they've done. Like I said, it is definitely more poppy, but, and more ballady, and there's less like, you know, like the running joke with Foo Fighters for a long time was they do like soft verse, loud chorus, soft verse, loud chorus, and there's a little less of that, but there are some good like build-ups and loud parts for sure. But it's definitely a softer album, but it feels more like a return to form of what they did before they started to get super ambitious in terms of their scope, which is kind of nice.
That's interesting because literally everything that you've told me does not sound like their earlier stuff.
No, but my point is, like, it feels like they're sort of just, like.
Do you mean on the experimentation side, where it's just literally them and not this cavalcade of artists? And,
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, it definitely still sounds a little like that. Like, it's like, think of a song like Walk. Like, for example, like Wasting Light's one of my favorite albums.
Walk This Way?
What? No, just Walk. But that's Wasting Light's one of my favorite albums. I think this is my favorite since Wasting Light. And like Sonic Highways, I liked a few songs. Conquering Gold, I liked a few songs. But this one, I like it as a package. And if you think about like the lead single for Wasting Light was Rope or whatever, and then the second song was Walk. And Walk was kind of like a slower song by Foo standards. Like, it was a little, you know, didn't have like heavy guitars. Yeah. This album's a little more in the Walk direction.
Okay.
But with like kind of a
I'm
funk
skipping that
thing.
Because Walk is probably my least favorite Foo Fighters single.
Interesting.
I jumped off the Foo Fighters train with Wasting Light. I think that was the last album that I heard front to back, because I thought Rope was a decent song, but it didn't hold a candle to, you know, The Pretender and that.
Oh, The Pretender is like their best song. I love The Pretender. I think it's their best song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, there's definitely, this isn't early Foo Fighters. I mean, it's not, but it feels like the most cohesive, like, structure. Like, it just feels like a complete package. All the other stuff was just like them sort of plucking things out and trying to emulate things or trying to bring in elements and be like, look, we're not just the guys that shout best of you, best of you, best of you. Like, we also, like, can hang out with a jazz band. And then Conquering Goals, like, we also can, like, write with Boys to Men. And now this one's like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna do our thing, but we're gonna have it be a little dancey. So I feel like that's why it works. It just feels reined in, if that makes sense. But, and for me, it's kind of nice just to have them go kind of, in a way, back to the basics. It's not like the real basics, because as you point out, Kev, it's not the same as the early stuff, but it does feel like they're sort of scaling back and just kind of having fun with music. And I don't know, I mean, I imagine this is more a question for you, Kevin, than Angel, just because I know you follow bands a lot closer. Like, has there been a band, like, while I'm describing Foo Fighters, where, like, you saw them go in one direction and then they kind of, like, maybe they kept going in that direction, but they sort of, like...
Oh, One Direction.
Yeah, you know, I'm talking about Harry Styles here.
Baby, you like it more.
Don't sing too much or we're going to have to pay royalties because we're recording.
Yeah, we don't make money off this.
No, we don't, sadly.
We still haven't got that Raid Shadow Legends money.
I know, we haven't. But is there a band, Kevin, that, like, you know, they started going in one direction and sort of, like, pared down or stripped down or went back to basics that kind of was, like, finally to you? Or is this, like, a weird anomaly for me here?
The most recent one that I can think of is The Strokes and their new album.
Mm-hmm.
The last two albums
Room on
before
Fire
that one were a little bit more experimental. And this last album sounds like, oh, this could have easily been their fourth album and not their sixth. It could have easily been their third album.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Reptilia was dope.
Reptilia was dope. Yeah, exactly. Aside from that, Muse maybe, but Muse like a couple of albums ago at this point when they did that dubstep album.
Yeah.
Or like that dubstep, which I like that dubstep album.
I like the lead single from it. I forgot what it's called.
Madness.
Yeah, I really like Madness.
Yeah. They did that dubstep album, and then the next one was like a hard rock album, Drones.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, their newest album is pretty good too, Simulation Theory. But that one definitely sounds different from literally everything else that they've done. So I don't know if this next album is going to go a little bit more back to basics, but.
And I should say with Foo Fighters, like, there's definitely, it's dancier, but it's still, like, actually there's a song on there that kind of reminds me of Arctic Monkeys, and there's another song on there that kind of reminds me of Killers a little. But, like, if you put it through the lens of, like, Dave Grohl's, like, preferring raw guitars and no, like, electric elements or anything in the case of the Killer song. Right. But, yeah, it's, it definitely is a little different, but it does feel more like the energy, I guess is what I'm looking for, is that of, like, Wasting Light, which is kind of nice. But. Gotcha. Yeah. And
I might have to give this album a shot.
Yeah, and you're gonna text me and be like, what are you talking about? It's awful. No, but it, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because they got so, like, their scope just got so big that the fact that they just reined it in whatsoever and just had fun in a house making music versus, like, trying to, like, you know, pull from all these different directions. Maybe that's all it was. And you do hear it in the music. That's what's crazy to me is, like, theoretically, if someone turned on Sonic Highways or turned on Concrete and Gold and it was just like, all right, I'm just gonna listen to this, and then turn on Medicine at Midnight, they sound different. Like, they just, it's like, you know, some albums, we were talking about this, I think, with, I don't remember if it was Run the Jewels or something when we were talking about albums earlier in QC, how, like, some albums just sound very, like, they're one body of work and some just sound like some songs thrown together.
Right.
I feel like some of the last Foo albums were more, like, thrown together, and this feels more like an actual body of work.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can have an album thrown together. You can still have singles, and all the singles can be fine, and you can have favorite songs in those singles. But this one, like honestly, the singles in Medicine at Midnight, like they went on SNL and performed a song called Shame Shame, which builds but never, like, arrives. Like, it's like you're waiting for the guitar to, like, go like crazy, and it just never happens. Like that, I was like, that's the single? I don't know about this. But then in the context of the album, it actually works really well. And they still have little nods and winks to stuff. They have one song that's kind of it feels like a Motorhead song almost, but still has kind of the dancey elements. Like, they're still, like, doing the thing where they're nodding. There's a Bowie sounding one, kind of. They're doing the things where they're kind of nodding at other genres, but they're doing it within the same sound, which is what's nice, opposed to the last couple projects. So anyway, yeah, that's Medicine at Midnight. I feel like I'm just rambling now, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I didn't know what to expect going in, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Cool. So I saw The Little Things. I don't know if either of you have heard about this movie. It is the newest.
Never heard of it.
HBO. Maybe at this point it's not the newest HBO Max release. But
Is this the one with Denzel and Jared Leto?
yes, and Rami Malek.
Oh,
Who?
really?
Yeah,
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot.
Oh.
Don't be sad. Mr. Robot's great, you
The
jerk.
deflated.
You may also know him soon, Angel, as the villain in the next Bond movie that's coming out in 2035 or whenever they finally release it.
Yeah, exactly.
I still have to watch the other Bond movies.
And they're always on sale on Vudu, like the Daniel Craig collection.
I mean, are any of the Daniel Craig ones even worth watching?
Casino Royale.
They just seem so by the number and boring.
How can you say that if you've never seen them?
I said they seem. I'm not saying they are.
Oh.
I said they seem. They seem. Because every action movie just looks the same in trailers.
At least Casino Royale. That's like the perfect Bond movie, in my opinion.
I think also
Perfect Bond movie? Damn.
Skyfall visually is a treat.
Oh yeah, Skyfall is definitely one of the best looking Bond movies.
It's like they alternate because Casino Royale's good, Quantum of Solace is whatever, Skyfall's really good. What's followed that? Spectre was kind of whatever.
Spectre wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be worse.
Was the rare Bond movie that actually was a direct follow up.
Like Quantum of Solace was a direct.
Oh, that's right. It was. That's right.
To Casino Royale.
Right.
It literally starts where that movie ends.
Right. Oh, right. With the
Jason.
underwater and everything. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, it's like every other. So this next Bond should be good, following the pattern. So
yeah.
But anyway.
Well, anyways. So the Little Things. So it's a crime movie, and I can't really compare it to a movie or two because it's literally all of the crime movies put together. It's incredibly generic, and it boggles my mind that this is going to be released in theaters because it just feels like a straight to home release movie. And I'm going to be a little rough on this movie, honestly.
To be fair, if it was going to come out in January in theaters, January is always the month they release the generic movies.
The dumping grounds.
Yeah.
So, in this, Denzel Washington plays a deputy based in Bakersfield, California, and he goes down to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, where you learn that he used to work there as one of their lead detectives, one of their premier detectives. There he meets Rami Malek's character, who is the guy who replaced Denzel. And at first, they butt heads a little bit, but then Rami takes Denzel to a crime scene that is very reminiscent to an unsolved crime that Denzel worked on years ago. So he sticks around to help. Ooh. And if that isn't
the most generic stories,
plots, for crime movies, I don't know what is. But on top of that, Denzel also has a secret past that continues to haunt him. And Rami's character has to solve the case in a week because the feds are coming down to take the case off his hands. And it's just literally every cliche. It's just...
do they execute it well, at least? Because I'm okay with tropes if the tropes are done well.
No.
Oh.
So the script sucks. It legit sounds like if David Fincher had Joss Whedon come up to punch up the script for Seven. It's full of these quips that it's full of these quips that I don't think either of these characters would ever say, let alone to someone that they literally just met. Because it spans, I believe, about a week, and they're just chummy by the end of the movie. The score is so bad. There are scenes that are supposed to be morbid that have just this uplifting sound, and just the conflict there is so. I just kept nodding, and it's specifically this one piece of score that they keep using over and over again for these morbid scenes. I just keep thinking to myself, why would you choose this? I don't know what they were thinking. I can't even really compliment the visuals because nothing about the cinematography or the way it was shot or edited wowed me. It doesn't just feel like a movie that is perfect for TNT. It feels like it was made on a TNT budget.
So they spent all the money on getting the actors and that was it. So who's Jared Leto in it? Is he a bad guy?
So, Jared Leto, he's in this movie. He's the prime suspect in the case. And he plays this dirtbag. And he plays the prime suspect very, very well. He's very sociopathic. Jared Leto's performance is really the only thing that I liked in this movie, honestly. And I haven't liked Jared Leto in anything since Fight Club back in 2001.
He was alright in Blade Runner.
I still haven't seen Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, dude. You gotta see Blade Runner 2049. He's all right in it. But the rest of the movie, like, it's visually such a treat.
Right. So, man, this movie, I don't know if it's trying to be clever or even trying to be original, but if it is trying to be clever, it's doing a terrible job of it. And if it's trying to be original, no, because it just does a terrible job, because it cribs literally every line in the book. Rami Malek's character, Rami was, I feel, miscast in this movie completely, because, and you know how I love me some Mr. Robot.
Oh, yeah. You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, we both love us some Mr. Robot.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know, he just plays this movie so straight, and they didn't give him anything interesting besides, like, a religious background. Like, they call him a holy roller. But, of course, because he is religious, you think to yourself, oh, there's going to be a scene where, like, his faith is shaken. And sure enough, there's, like, a small scene where that happens. It's just, you see everything coming. Denzel, he's starting to show his age a little bit. But he still makes the best with the script. But Denzel also, I don't know if this is because I know it's Denzel or because he was directed to do this, but he plays sort of he seems like a down on his luck guy at the beginning, but then he just plays this smarmy jackass, like, very, very well. Like, he's smiling at all his suspects. He's just being a complete jerk to solve this case.
Does he say "my man" at any point?
Did he say what?
"My man" at any point? Doesn't he always say that in his movies? Or a couple movies?
He might have. I don't know. I forget. I kind of want to spoil the ending because it's nothing remarkable.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a chance I may watch this just because Rami Malek, so...
Okay.
It's okay. I guess you can spoil it. I guess.
Okay. So, here's your spoiler warning. Go ahead by like 15 seconds. The critics have unfavorably compared this to Seven, and I didn't understand why until the very end. There is a reason why this movie gets compared to Seven a lot. And that's all I'll say about the ending. And honestly, that's all I got to say about the little things.
And I guess if it's unfavorable, it compares poorly. So it borrows something and it doesn't do it well. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I can guess.
Very, very disappointed considering the pedigree behind this movie. I read that originally Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct this movie a long time ago, but he didn't want to do it because of how morbid it was. But there's nothing even shocking about the movie, really. It is like, you see worse stuff on True Detective.
Right.
Yeah, and this just feels like a very, very knockoff True Detective. So,
well, you're right about it.
I mean, is there anything? I mean, I don't know. Any little, like, I think you mentioned like little things to appreciate. I just really wanted to make that joke. Like, you know, appreciate the little things. They name dropped the little things like 3 times, and it's that thing where like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where like you point.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen.
Yeah, when he's Denzel says it's the little things, you know. And it's
Does
like,
he then look at?
But it's not even.
Does he look at the camera
They
way?
even shoehorn that line in so bad. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is it like, does he like look at the camera way says it, or is it like, what are we? Some type of little things like in Suicide Squad?
He is the only one on screen when he says the little things. So he might as well just be talking to. It's so generic. It's so, I can't say it's boring because at least the central mystery did keep me like, oh, I wonder if Jared Leto is going to end up being the killer. But that's only because I liked Jared Leto in this role. Mm-hmm. He kind of plays it with an accent. It's actually interesting. And apparently he got
the little things
for this for an award. Yeah, it's the little things.
Oh God.
Oh man.
The little things.
Yeah, this movie, very, very disappointing.
Like I was saying, I may still check it out just because Rami Malek, and I want him to shine a brighter star in Hollywood. So anything he's in, I feel like I should watch.
If this was Rami Malek's first movie, I'd be like, this guy's going nowhere. Honestly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
He had his chance in Bohemian Rhapsody.
There's literally nothing special about his performance. Angel.
So you know, like during the COVID times, like I've had more time to like reflect, organize, and just kind of look at my collection of various things. Like I am more than just someone that collects Ninja Turtle stuff. If anything, in my current room, there kind of isn't a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff. I mean, besides my wallpaper on the computer, I'm mainly surrounded with like a Phoenix Wright statue, replicas of the God of War figurines that Atreus plays with, some Transformers, Godzilla, more Godzilla. Oh, and a bunch of Transformers behind me. But besides that, like something that I really love to collect and like, I'm a very big fan of like Ghibli films, as I've mentioned here plenty of times. And as I will share to at least like my co-hosts, you'll see that for the longest time, like, it's always bothered me that I came in really late to this game. So I couldn't really, I wasn't there to collect all the Disney published Ghibli films. By the time I came in, I was only able to get the ones shown, which is like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And then G-Kids got the rights to all the Ghibli films, and then they started releasing them. So what you're seeing is pretty much the full collection of Ghibli movies, except 2 of them. I don't have Tales of Earthsea, which is typically regarded as a really bad Ghibli film. So I've just kind of taken my time with getting it. And the other one is Meet the Yamadas, which is based on a comic strip from Japan. So, you know, it's one of those, like, if you haven't read the comic strip, you're not really going to enjoy it as much. It's not a general tale for everybody. So, you know, I've been taking my time with those. But on top of that, you know, sometimes I'm able to get them with the sleeve, sometimes I'm able to get them without the sleeve. Get a lot of inconsistency. If you're looking at the picture that they're looking, it doesn't even look like it's all movies from the same series. It looks like I have some golden ones from Disney, some black ones without the sleeve in the middle, and then some other ones. I mean, at least, yeah, you kind of tell.
Rave of the Fireflies is the clear eyesore in all of this. Because I can see the logic behind most of this, and then when you get to Grave of the Fireflies, it just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, they didn't match any styling of any of the others, regardless of who put it out. Like, it's just its own one-off.
Well, that one has its own interesting thing, because that one, even though G-Kids, I think, like, does now have some rights to Grave of the Fireflies in some capacity, I don't think they have the rights to sell Blu-rays. Only Sentai Films does. So, as a result, I can't have, like, a completely matching, you know, collection of them. But at the same time, Grave of the Fireflies was made, it was kind of like an association with Studio Ghibli. I don't think it was, like, directly made with the Studio Ghibli branding. It's just so many of the people involved in those movies worked on Grave of the Fireflies, especially the director, that people just kind of group it in there anyway. But, I mean, the movies after that, Tokyo, Grandfather, and Children of the Sea, they're completely different. They're not associated with Ghibli. They're just also G-Kids films, or published by G-Kids. So, in the last year, I noticed that G-Kids started releasing steelbooks of all the Ghibli films. And I was like, I'm so close to finishing these. I'll be okay. But then the more, I guess I just kept looking at these films and just looking at the shelf, I just started getting more unhappy with how it looked. I don't know if it's because I just had more time to reflect on these things, but I mean, I wasn't happy that I had to deal with this to begin with, or the fact that there was no consistency with sleeves or not sleeves or the backing, that at some point I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take the plunge. It looks like they're doing a good job of releasing these consistently. And I feel like I jumped at the last possible minute that I could have, because as soon as I started buying these new steelbooks up, a lot of them started selling out and even becoming out of print. But there's literally a brand new Studio Ghibli film that premiered yesterday that I'm watching at some point this weekend. I think it's Earwig and the Witch. That one already has a steelbook pre-order available for it. And they also have more coming out. They literally have, I think, half of all Studio Ghibli films available now on steelbook. Well, 3 of them are for pre-order, but, you know, just available to purchase in some way. And I'm already caught up with them. So now I get to relive the hunts for these films again, which I actually did kind of miss. I do like just the hunts of having something to collect. I mean, Ninja Turtles, like, there is always kind of something. They're just so on and off, and now with scalpers and the distribution that NECA has been using, it's more of a pain to buy Ninja Turtle figures from NECA than it is fun. And Ghibli films so far have been fun, just because, you know, they're always available. And just to give you an idea of what the steelbooks look like, well, to my co-host, I just uploaded a picture of how they look now, and as you can see, much more uniform and just really nice looking. Nice and shiny. And obviously now the spines all match. And because I've been buying more steelbooks recently, especially from G-Kids, like the Promade one, and I think I have a few others, like, they just line up and look so nice next to each other. Oh, and the Lupin one.
Steelbooks look awesome.
So what do you do with the duplicates? Are you selling the old ones, or are you just having duplicates? Like, because you're in a weird situation because of this. So how do you address that?
I have thought about selling some, but there are some, like, really good, like, coworkers and just friends that I know also collect Ghibli films, but they're not as, like, picky about, like, where, like, what they look like, that I might just, like, give some away. Literally just give some away, and then whatever, like, I'm left over with, I might just, like, sell or get rid of in some way. Because literally all the features, like, there are some cases where I might keep both. If, like, the Disney one comes with a little documentary, I'll just obviously organize it in a different way. But yeah, like it might come with a documentary that the G-Kids version doesn't have, but everything from one Blu-ray is there on the other. So yeah, I still have the Dakota Fanning dubbed version of Totoro or the Nausicaa version with Shia LaBeouf. But oh yeah, I mean they also obviously have the sub versions as well. But yeah, I just really love how the collection's coming together again. Just kind of curious if there's like, if you guys particularly like started collecting anything new like in these last like couple months, or for the most part things have kind of stayed the course.
This sort of reminds me, and this isn't even me, but I know your brother collects the DC animated movies, and he will refuse to buy it if he doesn't have the sleeve. Yeah. And I think that's caused them to just lose out on some of the movies because they just don't produce them with the sleeves anymore. It was like, this is why I can't get into this, because if I miss one, I'm just like, okay, well, I just wasted all this money and I can't have the complete collection. What's even the point? That's why I personally can't start something like this.
I mean, the thing is, like, I also do sometimes prefer to just get collections, but for these, I don't know, I guess I really like to look at the steelbooks enough that I want to just go through with it. And if they don't get through all of them,
awesome.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I've picked the hill I'm going to die on, but like, I know there are like, literally like, it's probably the size of like 3 or 4 DVD cases squished to each other, but there is like a Miyazaki collection. It's not available in the US. You have to import it from UK, which isn't that expensive, but it has all the films. I think except maybe 2 of them. But I mean, there's like easy ways to get like big. I mean, I know like even for the DC ones, they have like a collection that has like, I think every film up to that point. But yeah, it gets tricky. I wish I wish Sonic Boom would get like a Blu-ray release. I wish the 2003 Ninja Turtle show got a Blu-ray release. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the show, but Jesus, that show, this collecting those DVDs was like a nightmare. Because first they started with, like, they would group them in sets of 4. It was like 4 episodes per DVD. There's no Blu-ray. This was like, 2003. And every group of 4...
Which show again? I'm sorry?
The 2003 Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, every group of 4, the spines would line up to give you, like, the image of one of the turtles. And then once you got through all 4 turtles, they decided to just go, you know what? Screw it. Now we're just going to do, like, numbers with decimals. Still not seasons. Just, like, here's 10 episodes. We'll call it 3.1, 3.2, and then we'll call it, like... And then at some point they dropped that and they just started grouping them by, like, themes, I guess. I guess they saw, like, the next couple episodes in the season, and they're just like, alright, there's some monsters in here. Let's call this one Monsters and Madness. And, or, like, if there's kind of an arc, they're like, alright, let's call this, like, the Ultimate Ninja one. And then, so, already, like, there's a ton of inconsistency with the spines, and it's just horrible. And then at some point, they're just like, you know what? Here's just season 4. It's literally called season 4. It's on one DVD case.
They just
got lazy.
And then they're like, you know what? We can do this right. So then after season 4, they literally started all over, and they actually started releasing them as season 1 part 1 in one DVD and season 1 part 2. And they did that for the first 2 seasons, and it was nice, consistent, everything was there. Because there were a lot of episodes in each season. And then they just stopped.
So it didn't sell.
They got as far as season 2,
so it didn't sell well.
They just...
That's
so, like, once they finally nailed it down, if they had done it there from the beginning, it would have been perfect. But, yeah, they got that far and just ended. And it was the same thing with the classic Ninja Turtle show. They also did the exact same thing. Like, they started with, like, volume 1 through volume 9. And then at some point, they're like, you know what? Here's all of season 5, season 6, season 7. And they actually did finish. They made it all the way to season 10. And we do have all of those DVDs in this long, I guess just long row on a shelf. And then, they released a turtle van that just has all of them in it. So, yeah, we probably could have waited. But, we didn't know if they were going to get to that point. So you gotta pick your poison. But that's just collecting.
I think the thing that I got closest to was getting Gurren Lagann on DVD. They came in sort of like these box sets. But it was only a few episodes, if I remember correctly. I bought the first 2. I think each one held maybe about 12 episodes. And I believe that shows about 40-something. I may be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But I just remember them never making a part 3. And that killed me. And yeah, it's so annoying when... I understand that pain of like, they just stopped at some point because it didn't sell.
Rights of things and, like what they can and can't release. Like those steelbooks that I mentioned, like Grave of the Fireflies is like in that situation where it's not a part of the Steelbook series. So it's like, oh, what am I going to do? But luckily, Sentai actually, I guess, looked at these Steelbooks and like, you know what? We're going to make a Grave of the Fireflies one in line with all these Ghibli ones. So while it's not like labeled as like G Kids, you probably couldn't really tell that it wasn't part of that collection. Like, it does have like some, like a little extra nice like flourishes that make it look actually a little nicer from the back. But for the most part, I mean, it's basically the same thing. And obviously, like, I had to get it because, yeah, I don't even know if G Kids will ever do one. But,
Yeah.
you know, it also comes with some extra goodies. I also dropped a picture of that one, just so you could see how much they actually tried to, I guess, please fans. So it's like, wow.
like replicate that look.
Yeah, compared to that first release. But yeah.
What about the spine? Is the spine going to match up? Because I feel like that'd be the most important part, right? At least to a degree.
Yeah.
Or it's half of it.
The spines look pretty much the same. The only thing it's missing is just a little circle on the top that says G Kids, which is like, wow, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. And all things considered,
that would still drive me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it would go.
But what can you do? You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's that, and luckily order-wise, like it would go before all of the other ones. So there's also that kind of makes it a little easier because it's like kind of part of Ghibli, kind of not. So like it would go before they are properly Ghibli. Keep calling it Ghibli. But yeah, so that also makes it easier. Because, I do want to acknowledge that, at least in the collection, like, yeah, there are some exceptions. Like, I do kind of hope they do a, like, Castle of Cagliostro, or I think it's, I forgot what it's called. That was also, it's in the same vein as Grave of the Fireflies, directed by Miyazaki, has a bunch of the same people that make the other Ghibli films, but it wasn't, a Studio Ghibli film. And now we just don't even know if we're ever going to get a release of it. But yeah. Those collectible. I'm surprised Jason hasn't been, I guess, quote unquote, collecting.
I was trying to think of what I may have been. I haven't.
Because Nintendo tells you to buy. Actually, even then, you don't even get like every major Nintendo release anymore. I don't. You've kind of fallen off of that.
Well, I never bought. Yeah, to be fair, I never bought every major Nintendo release. But
really,
yeah,
every.
I never did.
Even on the Wii.
Really? Oh, on the Wii?
Do you own?
No.
Do you own Fling Smash?
No, I don't. See.
Is that from Nintendo?
Yeah.
Hi. All right. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't own Wii Fit. I don't own Wii Fit Plus. I don't own, a lot of the ports on Switch. I actually am too. I don't own a lot of the Switch ports that Nintendo did from the Wii U. Although I am getting 3D World in a week. But no, I was thinking about what have I been collecting lately. Like the closest I came to collecting was Amiibo. And even then it was kind of selective. To be fair, I am buying an Amiibo this year for the first time in a long time. I couldn't say no to the Banjo-Kazooie Amiibo. I don't know why. I just was like, I saw it was available, and I'm like, all right, I'm pre-ordering it. So I have that. And there's some stuff I like half collect. So I have like a bunch of Nintendo art books that Dark Horse has put out. But I don't have, I think I have all the Zelda ones. I have the Mario Encyclopedia, the Splatoon art, the Fire Emblem art, both of them. But I think I'm missing a Zelda one. And even that, like, I don't have every single one of. I do have a pretty good extensive collection of Nintendo Powers from like January 1999 through the end of publication. So there's that because I subscribed the whole time. And I was missing one issue that got lost in the mail, but thanks to you, Angel, and a few years ago, you managed to find it for me. But I was thinking, what have I been collecting in the pandemic? Like in quarantine, and there really isn't much. And I realized it's not the same sense of collecting as you guys, but the idea of like needing to like complete the thing. I've gone down the rabbit hole of HomeKit, like for iPhone. Like I, got one thing. I'm like, oh well, if that does that, now I need this to augment that, and it just kept like going. Like got an Apple TV, got a TV that supports HomeKit directly, so I could turn off the TV with Siri. I could turn it off with my phone, and it's like, okay, well if I did that, do I want a smart speaker upstairs so I could just shout and maybe it will hear it from the living room? Huh. So then I was like, oh, but if I get a smart speaker, that could also be my doorbell. Should I get a camera? Like, instead of a Ring, should I get, like, the HomeKit-enabled version of a front doorbell cam? Because I'm home all day, but the apartment's 2 stories.
These all sound like things that can improve your life in some way. We're talking about things that don't really do that.
No, I know, but I mean, like, just like kind of the you sort of fall down the rabbit hole. One leads to another. So now it's like I have this setup where, and it's honestly pretty cool. Ecosystem lock-in's pretty great if you accept it, where we have a doorbell with a video camera, If someone rings the bell, it chimes our HomePod Mini up in my office on the second floor, the little mini townhouse apartment thing I have. And then it also will show up on my watch, show up on the phone, show up on the TV, show up on my laptop with a live feed of who's at the door. And if you're watching TV, it will slide in from the side, and you can use the TV's remote to talk to the person, or you can use your watch to talk to the person, or you can use the phone to talk to the person, all through the notification. And it's just like these things that, like, I don't need that. Literally, our living room has the door right there. I could turn around and look out the window and the person's right there if I'm watching TV. But it's just like having it all and being like, oh, well, now I need this. And now it's like, well, do we get smart lights? Do we get like a thermostat? Which thermostat? Like, it's all cascading. I think I've pumped the brakes a bit, but once you start like going into this, like the idea of like getting smarter and smarter and like kind of building out your arsenal of options and collecting all the different components of what makes a smart home gets kind of addicting a little. So that's probably the closest I've come. I just discovered the other day, I didn't know, like I knew on my phone's control center I could turn off the TV because there's a button for the TV, and I can also change the input. And it even says like Nintendo Switch as the input title and stuff, which is cool, like on the phone. But I also didn't realize I could do that by voice. So like just the other day I realized if I just say, you know, like, hey Siri, turn off living room TV, it says okay, and it just turns off. So like if I'm like packing up Ring Fit after doing the daily exercise I'm now doing, like I'll say it while I'm like putting away the Ring Con, it just like does it. And it's so minor, but now I'm just like, oh, well, if I can do that, what else can I do? So that's probably the closest I've had to the like mindset you're describing. Obviously it's, and to your point, you're saying, you know, these sound useful and like what you're collecting. I would say it's not hard for me to go press the button on the remote. And it's not hard for me to go look out the window when someone knocks on the door. And it's certainly not hard for me to, you know, like talk through the door to someone. But having all this, it just keeps going and going and sort of snowballing. So that's the closest I come to collecting. Like it's the same sort of mindset. I feel like,
and I do kind of take back the whole like useful to your life, because you know what, like we collect these things that we like, and they do bring like
joy.
They do bring joy and happiness to our lives. And I don't know, in the way I do think, I mean, whatever makes you happy.
I will say,
I definitely.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that like I definitely, like of all the stuff that I love, like there are like different pillars to like the things like Angel loves, like Ninja Turtles, obviously a really big, strong one. I would say like Godzilla and Transformers also big ones, but like I feel like Ghibli was definitely underrepresented in my collection, and only now like through these movies I feel like I'm doing them justice, just to like, oh man, I really love these. I want to just to appear really nice, because you know besides that I had like nothing. Like actually it was only until the most recent trip to Japan that I was able to get a little No Face from Spirited Away, like a little bell keychain that I have attached to one of my backpacks. Very recently during Black Friday, I got myself a Totoro fleece blanket. That's really awesome, and a little No Face piggy bank. And I think that's pretty good. I think I'm good with that for now.
I
definitely
don't want to gloss over the fact that I knew what you meant, but the way you phrased it, like you said something like, I like Ninja Turtles, like a really big, strong one. Is what you just said. You meant like that's a strong interest.
It's a really strong pillar, yeah.
Yeah, no, but you're just like, yeah, I like that really strong Ninja Turtle, like a big, strong turtle. But no,
it's not a big, strong turtle. Those Bay ones were not the best design, in my opinion. Even though my brother and I still collected each of the highly detailed 1/6 scale figures. But you know, we know a lot of work got put into those. We can appreciate the detail. We just prefer the
style,
the Muppet ones. The Jim Henson ones.
The thing I was going to say before you said your thing was just that, like, to be fair, your guys' collecting of DVDs and Blu-rays and that sort of thing is a lot more reasonably priced than turning your home into a smart home. like a HomePod's like $100, and Apple TV's like $160. Like the doorbell was, I don't even remember how much. Like you guys are doing the more reasonable collecting.
Have you gotten the smart blinds?
What?
The smart blinds?
We have not. So that's the thing we haven't done yet. So that's what's funny. So
that actually sounds pretty cool and practical. I actually like the idea of smart blinds because they're annoying to, like, depending if you have the ones with the string that you have to pull to the side. Yeah.
Well, what's super annoying about our place is so we have curtains downstairs in the living room, and the way the apartment's set up is it's a 3-unit apartment, and ours faces kind of the walkway between the two. So like you come up and you either go to the first one, you come to ours the second, or you walk to the back. So we're kind of like secluded off the street, but I don't necessarily want to have the window constantly open because you see directly into the living room. There's the big TV right there, the switch, like all the like electronics, like right in the window. So every day for a couple hours, I make sure to open the curtains for the kittens that live in the apartment so they get some nice light, but then I have to go close them. So a smart blind actually isn't a bad idea. And see, I would never consider this, but I'm so in on the ecosystem now that I'm like, if I could save the 10 seconds of opening a curtain, man, that's worth $500. Like, I don't know. Like, it's ridiculous. But, yeah, we don't have smart curtains. We don't have smart lights. We just have all the Apple, like, TV.
Oh, just wait until you get
here's what's funny.
Philips Hue lights. It's going to change your life.
Here's what's funny. I have, when I lived with my parents, I'm sitting in that house right now recording, there are Hue lights in the room I'm in. There's a Nest thermostat and a Nest smoke detector. There's a remote garage door opener with my Q from Chamberlain or whoever. There's like a lot of, like, if I open the HomeKit thing on my phone here, there's like 7 different buttons to press. We have multiple rooms with Hue. For some reason, everything I've set up at the apartment is like the opposite stuff. Like, we don't have a smart thermostat, we don't have smart lights, we don't have a garage door. But, it's weird, we don't have smart smoke detectors. It's weird how, like, different I did. But what's nice about the apartment is, and I think this is where the kind of collector's mentality comes in, is it's all interconnected. So here we have HomeKit, or we have the Hue lights, which play nice with HomeKit and with, like, Alexa. I have an Alexa Echo Dot sitting right over there, or well, I guess it's my parents now, sitting right over there that can control the same lights. The Nest can play with the Alexa but can't play nice with the phone unless you use the app. The My Chamberlain, or the MyQ Chamberlain thing can work with the phone, but I don't think it works with Alexa. Like, we have all these disjointed pieces that are all kind of independent and need individual apps. But having the cohesion is where it's really at. So we'll see if I build out from what I have now at the apartment. But it's that cohesion is what really makes the difference. It's very much the different spines versus the same art style on the cover issue that Angel's describing, but with electronics. So
cool.
Yeah.
And I think that'll do it for this episode, unless anybody has anything else.
No, not that I could think of. Pretty much it.
I'm just questioning how much money I've put into HomeKit now, and wondering if I've made a grave mistake.
Get back to us on that number, because these Philips Hues are already like $100.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's the only reason I haven't done the Hues yet. Is like, and then also you have to like kind of condition the idea of like, don't use the light switch, use the Hue in your phone, which takes, I don't know how well that's gonna go over.
So when the Apple Home comes out, that doesn't have
like switches.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Like, so what we did at my parents' house is this room I'm in now, we just never touched that light switch. But there's an Alexa right here. It's like we could just walk in as we're walking in, just say turn on the lights.
No, I bought a Philips Hue switch.
Yeah.
I have 2 of them. I have one right next to my bed and one right next to the door.
So why do you find that
for my room
better than just like telling your phone or your watch? Or I don't know if you have an Apple Watch. You do have an Apple Watch. Why?
Because I wake super early for work, and the last thing that I want to see is my bright phone screen.
Fair.
So I just reach over, touch the on, and that's it.
That's fair.
Plus, it's wireless, so I could just remove it from the wall whenever I want to.
The first thing I look at when I wake up, regardless of how dark or bright out, is my phone. And the last thing I look at is my phone. I blind myself with my phone all the time. That's why I switched to dark mode. Anyway, sorry, you're wrapping up.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought about this episode, either in the comments of the blog post or on our Twitter at Random Nintendo. You're probably listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. I feel like I'm missing one.
I don't think so.
You're probably our.
I think you got them all.
You know who you are.
And you know where you are.
Yep, exactly. We are Random Nintendo.com on YouTube individually. Jason is at JSR7. Angel is at Weiro_O, WEIRO_O. I am KVN Gomi. And that'll do it. Next week we will have a brand new Random Nintendo, what are we talking about that episode?
Is that, it's gonna be a
that's
juicy
financials,
one.
isn't
No,
it?
it's not just financials, it's also Bowser's Fury. So, it's Bowser's Fury impressions, it's financials, we'll see what Nintendo does this week. There's some other stuff I'm forgetting that's probably going to come up. Possibly in relation to Nintendo doing so well, Stadia shutting down, kind of. So, like the opposite side of the same coin of first-party software. So,
Well, we'll see.
We shall see.
Spoiler alert: Nintendo did
super
very,
well.
Very well.
Yeah.
But
the real
surprised.
biggie is I'm going to have Bowser's Fury completed by the time we record. So, at nothing else, right. Bowser's Fury impressions.
Cool. That'll do it. Jason, take us out.
I hope everyone listening had a wonderful Super Bowl Sunday, full of snacks, friendship, and hopefully social distancing.